why it's so hard to read in a foreign language and how to get better at it, a beginner's guide. So I'm not going to waste your time, guys. Most beginners do find reading books and even kind of like short text in a foreign language just really, really difficult, and they get frustrated that they don't know every single word and like they can't even make sense of it sometimes. Don't worry, it's completely normal, and by the end of this video, you will understand what makes kind of reading in a foreign language really difficult, even when you're trying to learn the words, and how to improve your skill at this basically. So yeah, if you do like this kind of educational content on language learning, hit the subscribe button and let's go. So, why it's so difficult. When you're reading in English, we employ a lot of things called micro skills to help us read. So for example, skimming through a page to get the gist of something without actually reading it properly, or scanning for a particular word. It's actually Ollie Richards who's kind of talked about this in one of his books, I think probably most of his books. And yeah, that's definitely really true. So when you're learning a foreign language, a lot of people actually kind of completely abandon all of these micro skills and they try and understand every single word. So of course, if you're trying to understand every single word when you're reading in a language you don't understand, this is called intensive reading, and it makes it really, really painful and difficult to kind of get the gist of something and actually understand what it's about and read it for pleasure, when of course, basically every word you're encountering you don't know. You can understand how it's really frustrating, right? So intensive reading is basically reading in detail with the aim of understanding every single word. So you wouldn't really, it's kind of hard to read it intensively in English unless of course you're reading like a contract or something. But yeah, basically reading with the aim of understanding what every word means. The opposite of intensive reading is extensive reading, which basically is most of the reading you do in English, where you just read for pleasure. You kind of just understand what something is about without trying to obsess and know every single word. Of course, if you don't know a word in English, you wouldn't stop and like give up. You just read over it because you wouldn't really care. And it wouldn't really happen that often anyway. So intensive reading can be good to make a vocab list, but the problem is a lot of people try and read intensively to read for fun, and that kind of doesn't really work. So I'm going to explain how to actually go about getting better. Basically, there are two solutions to make reading less painful, and ideally you should implement both. So the first solution is kind of the short-term solution and the one you'll enjoy, and that is to read extensively in foreign languages. So instead of trying to read, you're kind of trying to read with the intent of like getting the gist of something, but you're reading intensively, which doesn't work in a foreign language. So what you need to do is read extensively. That means read basically with the objective of enjoyment and just finishing the chapter or whatever you're reading. And the goal should be to kind of have a rough understanding of the plot, but not every single word. If it's too hard to even understand every single word, the text is probably, if it's too hard to even understand the gist of something, like just what's kind of going on, the text is probably too hard. It should be at a comprehensible input level, which basically means not so easy you understand every single word, but not so difficult you can't even understand what's going on without understanding every single word. So yeah, try and read it how you would read Harry Potter in English. You wouldn't obsess over every single word, you just kind of read the thing for enjoyment and you know what's going on. And yeah, that is what you should do. It might seem like it's not actually working, but it is familiarizing you with the text, and it's much less painful than trying to focus on every single word while you're trying to read. The second solution is what is going to actually help you know more words, and that is reading intensively, but we're going to do it in a different way. So before you were reading intensively with the goal of trying to just get the objective, like kind of the goal of trying to get a rough understanding of what it's going on about. That's a bad idea. If you want to get a rough understanding of what something is about, you need to read it extensively. If you're trying to learn words, then you can read it intensively, and I'm going to explain how to do it. So when you're reading intensively, your goal is now to increase the amount of vocab you know. So don't worry about understanding the plot. The goal is to just make basically a list of words you don't understand. So you would read, for example, a page or a chapter, and you would make a list of words that you don't actually understand, and then you would use the input repetition method, which is something I've already made a video on, to learn the words. So long story short, you would read intensively and get a list of words you don't know. You would put them and their translations in English into flashcards. You obviously just get the translations from Google Translate or something like that, and then you would review the flashcards until you understand. Then you can go back and reread it, and you'll find, hey presto, you actually understand what the words mean now. Obviously after you've done the flashcards a few times. And yeah, you can just rinse and repeat that strategy with like other chapters in the book, or you can even do it with things that aren't books like movies and TV. Again, I have already made a full video on this, so you should definitely go check that one out. But yeah, that's the only time you should read intensively, when you're actually trying to make a list of words you don't know and figure out how they work so you can learn them. Once you've done that, you'll find when you read it extensively again, when you reread it extensively, not only will you get a rough idea of what's going on, but you'll actually just know what all the words mean, or most of the words. So yeah, that is the solution to how reading is so painful. If you do have any questions, guys, comment them down below. Definitely drop a like and subscribe. It does make me feel better about all the effort I put in to help you guys for free. And yeah, Discord in the description as well, plus the website. Have a good one. Appreciate you watching.